What's up, everybody? It's your boy True Element 78 in the building with
the very sad and depressed Mondo Lucha Hall of Famer, the X-Man, Xavier Mustafa.
And the one who was not surprised at all. Sorry, Mr. Mustafa. The Natural Girl's Black.
And today is Friday, October 4th, and you're tuned into Saturday Night Slamcasters. This is episode 27, and this is going to be our review of Raw and Smackdown of this week, and also our Hell in a Cell predictions. Now, you guys obviously know by now that we put out our podcast the second and fourth Saturdays out of the month, but with this being a pay-per-view weekend coming up, you guys are getting this bonus episode. We recorded episode 26 yesterday, and that was the review of NXT and AEW going head-to-head in Wednesday Night Warfare. So you guys can definitely check that out. It should be on the YouTube page somewhere below this video. And yeah, let's get right into it. We're going to start with SmackDown because we just witnessed SmackDown, and we're going to kick things off talking about how Rey Mysterio went and got his big brother to fight his battles for him. But before we get into that, let's just start with what led into that, which was the championship match between Kofi Kingston and Brock Lesnar. Kofi Kingston enters as champion and lasts way longer than I expected him to last against Brock Lesnar. But in the end, Brock Lesnar wins the belt, is gloating, walking around the ring. Rey Mysterio's music hits. Out comes Rey Mysterio and Cain Velasquez. And Cain Velasquez goes into the ring, starts grounding and pounding on Brock. Brock peters out, gets out of the ring, doesn't really want none of it. And you could tell we ran short because we had about a 3-minute standoff between Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar, and that's how SmackDown ends. What did we think about the Kofi Kingston-Brock Lesnar match and the aftermath of that? We will start with the host of the Quiet Storm himself, Xavier Mustafa.
So, I get it. Brock is a beast and should be booked as such. However, this man has had the lifelong dream of becoming WWE champion and have beat people like Samoa Joe. He's beaten people like Daniel Bryan. And then to just have, maybe 30 seconds with Brock Lesnar?
That's you being extra generous.
Maybe. Let's see, the bell rang, probably 2 seconds of running, 3 seconds of getting up, 4 seconds of flying down to the ring. Yeah, maybe 20 so seconds. And the dream is deferred, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll pour out a little bit of my 40 for my homie.
Pour out a little bit of the bubbly.
But I get it, but it's just so heartbreaking. Like, I guess everybody thought that when he finally did lose the title, it would be some epic match where, it's Kofi back and forth. It's David versus Goliath. David has the swing shot, and he misses and he loses. That's what I was expecting. That's what I wanted. That's what I think the hearts of the fan wanted. And I know I've been very critical of Kofi's run thus far because it has not been the most entertaining thing in the world. But they were building the underdog story, and it would have been nice if at least they gave Kofi a fighting chance in this match. Even if they went 1 minute and then he lost. I mean, he took down Roman Reigns with 13 F5s, threw a bus on him, threw his mama on him, everything, and he still kicked out. And then he beat him with the 15th F5. But Kofi gets one? Just one? He couldn't take one and roll out the ring or something? Catch Brock slipping for a second, maybe go for the SOS, then get reversed into the, I just wanted a little bit more, but it is what it is. It's not necessarily bad booking. It's just not the booking that I
wanted. Well, to me, they kind of treated Kofi like a fluke champion. You do that to someone who won a belt, and then his very first title defense, he gets that kind of treatment. That's a fluke champion. But I think Kofi prove that he was more than just a fluke. But like you said, I think that time was running short. Maybe they were going to give him a little bit of offense. But yeah, when that last match ended at like 8:45, I'm tweeted like, "There's not much time left, so like, what are they doing here?"
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I think Kofi lasted. Never mind, I'm not gonna go there. But anyways, yeah, I feel the same way as you just said that I didn't like the way that they treated Kofi. At least let him get a hit, something to piss Brock off or something like that to get the match started. I don't feel like this is your first show on broadcast television in how many years. This is the biggest stage WWE has been on, and you do your reigning champion like that. Like, yes, we all know that Brock is legit, and from all the reports we've heard, they want WWE to treat professional wrestling more like a sport, and yeah, Brock can go out there and be the beast that he is. But also, I felt that there's a way to give Kofi offense, at least to piss Brock off, and not make him look weak and not make the sport look weak and all that different type of stuff. If Brock goes out there and he's cocky about that he's going to beat Kofi really easily, then Kofi is allowed to get a couple of licks in, and he can still take that F5 and lose, but not lose in 7 seconds like he did.
Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, they almost had to book this match like this if they're going forward with Cain Velasquez, because think about it. If he would have went back and forth with Kofi and then beat him, and then Cain Velasquez comes out,
I didn't say go back. I didn't say go
familiar with.
I didn't say go back and forth with him. I said that Brock could be being cocky over there in the corner and taking Kofi as a joke, and maybe eat a kick or eat some punches to the face, like 3 punches, and Brock just lifts him up and F5s him, and it could end the same way. All I'm saying is, instead of a 7-second match, you give us a 15-second match.
Yeah, I don't know. I think going into if he's having a match with a UFC fighter, even though Brock is a UFC fighter also, I think they had to book this very dominant.
Well, that's the thing.
Into this program.
That's the thing. I'm saying he doubts Kofi. He doesn't believe in Kofi at all. He takes a couple of punches. Cain Velasquez is a different type of competitor. They both come from the same background of the UFC. So he's not going to treat a Cain Velasquez the same way that he would treat a Kofi Kingston when facing off against them. So it still wouldn't have saved Kofi a whole bunch of face to just eat one F5 and lose. When we've seen Seth Rollins take 5 F5s to stay down, we've seen Roman Reigns take 12, 15 F5s and still keep getting back up. Give Kofi like at least 1 or 2 F5s, something.
He could have gave them some. He could have taken a Suplex City first. I would have taken a John Cena style beatdown instead of that.
Yeah, well, it's easy payday for Kofi Kingston, I guess. But now let's move on to what happened after Brock Lesnar won. We get the debut of Cain Velasquez. What do we think of that? I know I'm a big UFC fan. Well, I was a big UFC fan, and I was there to see those fights between the fight between Cain Velasquez and Brock Lesnar. So I know what happened in UFC. I don't know how big of UFC followers you guys are, but what are your thoughts on seeing Cain Velasquez? He started wrestling. He just had his first match in August.
That was going to be my question. I'm like, is this like a one and done, or is he trying to get into the business?
He's pretty much done in UFC after he became injury prone, and in his last fight, which was back in like February for UFC, he ended up basically breaking his leg pretty much, and that's why he had the brace on. And he began training in professional wrestling. He had his first match in August, like the beginning of August. And I think he's had 2 or 3 matches since then. His most recent match was the one down in Mexico with Cody Rhodes, where he got in trouble for calling people pendejos or whatever.
Oh.
So everybody thought he might sign with AEW. And so, WWE ain't having that shit in 2019.
Okay, so he might actually, him and Brock could actually have a program and not just like a spot match or whatever.
Right. And of course I haven't watched the fight that he had down in Mexico or any of those matches he's had so far. So I don't know what his style is like. From what I've heard, he's pretty damn good. Took to it pretty naturally. So I really don't know. I know seeing him tonight, he's a lot smaller than he was in UFC. I would have liked to have seen him in a little bit better shape, but you could tell that this deal was made over in like the past 3 weeks. So we don't know when a match between Brock and Cain Velasquez will take place. I'm predicting Saudi Arabia.
I was like, whoa, Rey Mysterio brought Dominic back to get whooped again? And I was like, oh, wait a minute. He's a lot bigger than Dominic. I was like, he's a lot older than, oh, that's not Dominic. Okay, who is this dude? And I haven't been following UFC as closely as I've wanted to the past couple of years. Unfortunately, it seems like every time they have an event, I have an event. So, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Apparently, yeah, they did this. They did this on Fox to get some legitimacy to everything. We should talk a minute about like how different this show was.
Oh yeah, I was gonna get to that. I was gonna get to that next. Yeah, the set was awesome. The crowd was energized. I think that's because they were on Fox, the new set, everything. But really, from what I've been reading online, and we talked about this on the most recent podcast, where I said pyro just energizes the crowd. That can take people's energy levels from a 5 to a 10 instantly. And like having the pyro, you can even hear it like when the matches are starting. Like it pops the crowd. Like and it's also right now it's new and fresh again, but it makes the show seem much more of a big deal than they are. This felt like a pay-per-view show with everything from the new set, the new camera angles, the new lighting effects that they were using. They had augmented reality on the regular show, not just on the pay-per-view. I thought the presentation was awesome tonight. Like if there was one weak point that I could point out, it would be the Fox News host not really knowing the product and not really knowing the characters. You could tell they were reading off scripts and prompters. But other than that, I thought that the presentation was amazing, and this felt like the A show.
Yeah, I definitely would say that as far as like premieres go this week, not talking about NXT or AEW, between Raw and SmackDown, SmackDown clearly was the better show this week. It was just a much better show. It flowed. My only complaint would be, again, I don't believe in, if you have a match on the pay-per-view on Sunday, I don't think you should be touching. So the whole tag match between the Four Horsewomen and then Roman Reigns and the Eric Rowan, what's it called? Lumberjack match. Yeah. It's no, save that. Save it. Especially when you have you had Bayley tap out to Charlotte's figure eight. So if they do have a match on Sunday, I mean, we've already seen her tap out.
Well, I think that gives a reason for Bayley to win then, because she took the L, so she got to take the W on the next show.
I think every time that Bayley and Sasha have tagged, Bayley's taking the fall.
And then Eric Rowan got pinned by Roman Reigns. So, I mean, what's going to happen? Is Daniel Bryan going to take the pin? Luke Harper going to take the pin?
Probably Luke Harper.
Probably.
I just remember thinking to myself when Luke Harper came out, I was like, man, they finna give us this tag. They was like, we don't care if you want it. But y'all finna get this tag.
Well, the tag was already announced, but you wanted to speak about the presentation. What did you think about it, Xavier Mustafa?
Oh, you pretty much said it all, so I ain't got nothing to add. It was just I watched the pre-show, so I don't know if any of you caught the pre-show, but even the pre-show, it felt like a NFL Fox pre-show.
Yeah, it got me
and it was really cool, and the graphics were like crisp, and the camera angles, lighting, all that stuff. That's how I knew going into it. I said, okay, this is gonna be something special.
And I really liked the It was funny because they did a lot of subtle promotion, and I don't know if you guys know. I love the limited commercials. I saw somebody complaining about the placement of some of the commercials, but I think that Fox did it so smart, like especially in the ladder match, because we all know the crowd chants "Holy shit" at certain things. They would do the big move that would get the "Holy shit," and then they would go to commercial before the crowd could start chanting the "Holy shit," so they wouldn't have to bleep it. Because if you notice at the end when Cain Velasquez came out, the crowd started saying "Holy shit" or whatever once they realized who was out there, and it was bleep, 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 bleep. So I think that the commercials were placed good. We didn't get an overabundance of commercials. Also, the commercials to me were more relevant to the WWE product. There was a lot of promotion of WWE products. So it was like the toys. They were promoting their website, the network, versus a whole bunch of commercials that you don't really care about as a wrestling fan. The other,
like how you know this show is a big deal that they're having the draft on it next week.
the
Because
kickoff.
they never ever have the draft on SmackDown unless the 1 year where they did part of it was on Raw, part of it was on SmackDown, but nobody gave two shits about what happened on SmackDown because they did all the big trades on Raw.
Right.
It was pre-recorded.
Right. And then there was another point that I was going to, and then even like you said on the kickoff show, and when I say the kickoff show, I mean the beginning segment with Michael Strahan walking Becky Lynch through the corridors of the Fox headquarters, which kind of reminded me of the old WWE commercial where I think it was The Rock walking through the headquarters or something like that. And like different people in different rooms. You had Brock working out with the Fox robot, and then they walked into the studio and was like, yeah, this is where the network show, the WWE show, is going to be recorded. Which, just the way SmackDown was presented, I'm interested in seeing this WWE like analyst show that they're going to be having, where I believe it's supposed to be Booker T and Renee Young and an unnamed host for that, which from what I'm hearing is confirmed to be CM Punk, but that would be CM Punk to Fox confirmed.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so I don't know, and also I'm interested to see if that show is just going to be about SmackDown or is it going to be about the entire spectrum of WWE products. That hasn't been spoken on. If they're going to be covering Raw, they're going to be covering NXT. Because I think if they do all of that on there, if it covers the entire spectrum of WWE programming, that could spell a little bit of trouble for AEW, just because WWE does have this show on network television now. I saw people that I know who haven't watched wrestling in probably 15 years are like, yeah, I'm watching SmackDown tonight or whatever, even though they were saying I'm watching it for the old guys, not the new guys. Which I also got to applaud WWE tonight for not making it about the old school names. You saw them in the crowd, but the only one that you saw in that ring tonight was The Rock.
Yeah.
So I have to applaud them for having the restraint of relying on the old school names. Like that they had announced Sting was going to be there. They announced all the Ric Flair was going to be there, but they were on a pre-show or they were shown in vignettes walking through the crowd, but they didn't get any camera time other than that. So I got to applaud them on that as well. So now let's jump to the beginning of SmackDown. I know Chris Black hit a couple of points like the women's tag match and everything like that. But what do we think about the opening segment, which the opening segment was Becky Lynch kicking off things for SmackDown and coming out there and talking about how grateful she was to still be on SmackDown. Is where she got her start, yada, yada, yada. She's interrupted by Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin comes down. Becky Lynch asks her, well, he basically says to her, do you think that you're still the man? And she tells him, if you take one more step through those ropes, we'll find out. He takes one more step. Rock's music hits. Rock comes down and does what he does best, and that's emaciate. Not emaciate.
Wait, I can't let you gloss over what happened before that, where we got to see the chairman of the WWE.
He didn't do nothing.
Yeah, but you know what? It was still cool. He was the first one to come out and say something on the first ever Raw on Fox. Raw SmackDown on Fox. We got to acknowledge the man. All right, so I just want to take 2 seconds to acknowledge
Vinnie Mac.
our Lord and Savior, Mr. Man.
I
Let the
think.
church say amen.
Well, I was about to say you're not 40 yet. You're not gonna be going to WWE, but I guess you can still kiss ass. You're still young enough to get signed.
But fast forward, I thought some people want to complain about Baron Corbin getting buried, blah blah blah. The Rock can't do nothing but raise your stock, in my opinion.
No,
I don't think Baron Corbin got buried or anything like that. I think that was a good segment for him. I think that puts him over as the heel that he's supposed to be. And yeah.
Well, I'm not one of those people that just throws around the word buried, but I think that it hurt his equity. It hurt his stock. Like, of course, he was probably out there like loving having the interaction with The Rock, but like The Rock even said, he says those one-liners about you, and they stick with you for pretty much the rest of your career. Like, you still get Fruity Pebbles and Cena sucks. Like, those things become a part of the lexicon of the WWE universe. So now he's gonna be, what she say, the STD, some tough guy.
I don't think that's gonna stick.
No, I think the STD thing is gonna stick with Baron Corbin.
But you got to keep in mind though, like when Stone Cold Steve Austin was stunnering the chairman of the board week after week, yeah, it was kind of burying him, but it also put him over too. And you got to think about all those segments like that. I mean, you can think of
that's the thing.
The Rock and Coach. He got Coach over,
But you also got to think like the Stone Cold would get over, and then Vince McMahon would get over. Baron Corbin's not going to have a chance to get over on The Rock. The Rock came out there, said his piece, and we're not going to see Rock probably for another 10 years on WWE television. So, like I said, I'm not going to say that he was buried at all. I'm not going to throw that word out there. I'm just saying him having those great matches that he had during the King of the Ring tournament, winning the King of the Ring tournament, to have that interaction and then also get beat up by Becky, which I guess that's her getting her revenge for him hitting her with the end of days at the pay-per-view that everybody had forgotten about, which I felt that could have been acknowledged by her or whatever when he came out. Like, I owe you one, buddy, or whatever. I don't know. I don't think that it really did Baron Corbin it didn't do Baron Corbin really any favors at all.
I think it gives Baron Corbin a reason to complain and bitch and be a heel.
Nah.
I mean, you got to think about all the stuff Baron Corbin has taken in the past couple of years. And, I hated to admit it, but, eventually we end up, starting to become one of my favorites now because he sat there, he took whatever gimmick that was given to him, and he did what he needed to do. That was be a
if
heel.
he can get revenge, if he can get some comeuppance on The Rock, then yeah. But like I said, when you can't get any comeuppance on the person, that interaction does nothing for you, especially when somebody is the stature of The Rock.
Yeah, he got no heat out of the exchange.
Yeah,
all he got was humiliated. And I get what you're saying, Mustafa. Yeah, he got the rub from The Rock, but he didn't gain anything really. Not really. I mean, he just got a rub. I wouldn't say he got buried, but.
Yeah, like I said, and then we also know WWE is petty. So sometimes they put you in that position to help you get over, and sometimes they put you in that position to knock you back down a peg. And it kind of remains to be seen what that was for Baron Corbin. We've seen Baron Corbin get a lot handed to him over the past year. Everything from the Kurt Angle match to the title shots with him and Lacey Evans and Seth and Becky to now having this interaction with The Rock. So that's why I'm saying I'm not going to use the word buried, but it felt like Baron Corbin was being built up for something, and now he's the Burger King crackhead and STDs. Like, I don't know. So,
side note, I was looking at Rock and Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin's he's actually taller than The Rock. He's outside of muscular. He's bigger than The Rock. Outside of muscular, Rock's more built, obviously, but Corbin's a little bit bigger than The Rock is.
I think Low Rock. Wow, who is La Rock? I think The Rock. I think in real life, I think he's really only like 6'2". I think some things have him listed as 6'4", but I think he's really like 6'2". And Derek Corbin has to be at least 6'4" in real life.
Yeah, he's not a small guy.
That's funny. All right, so then we had that interaction, and that segued straight into a Becky Lynch and Charlotte versus Bayley and Sasha Banks match. Chris Black already kind of touched on it. It was an okay match. It was just them hitting their spots. Bayley taps out to the figure 8 from Charlotte. Sasha and Becky are having their title match on Sunday at Hell in a Cell, inside Hell of a Cell. Bayley doesn't have a match. On Twitter, she called out Candice LeRae, saying that she wanted to fight her. Charlotte obviously made her tap out, so you would think that Charlotte moves to the head of the line. But we're going to give you guys Hell in a Cell predictions, but right now there's only like 2 or 3 matches that are official for Hell in a Cell, so.
That's just so random. Bayley just out of nowhere. I challenge you. What?
I choose you, Pikachu.
What is going on
talking
here?
about Candice mother effing LeRae. Come on now.
Dude, Asuka needs to come out swinging like, hey, bitches, y'all forgot about me? Like,
No, she's too busy being the Bukkake Warrior. She got things to do. She ain't got time for that. They're not
that's
ready
a rumored match. The Bukkake Warriors against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross is rumored.
I think it's kind of interesting that WWE, now I can't remember what they opened up Raw with, but 2 of their big shows this week they've opened up with women matches.
How did they open up Raw, did you say?
Yeah, I can't remember.
We'll get to it.
Was it a women's match too?
2 people got their ass whooped.
Yeah, remember it was Rey Mysterio.
Oh yeah. That was not an open.
It wasn't a women's match, but it was damn sure an angry stepdaddy. Next up after the tag match, we had the Firefly Funhouse segment with Seth Rollins in the ring cutting a promo, and then the Fiend showing up on Titan. Well, not the Fiend, Bray Wyatt showing up on the Titantron, and Ramblin' Rabbit cheering on Seth Rollins, saying how he's his biggest fan, and Bray comes over and says, well, how about it, since you're his biggest fan, why don't we have a little demonstration of how the match is going to go? So he puts a cage around Ramblin' Rabbit and puts him in there with the buzzard. I forgot what the first name of the buzzard is. But he put them inside the cage. The buzzard rips up Ramblin' Rabbit and takes his head off. And then he asks him, are you okay? And he starts laughing like, are you okay? Or whatever. Like real dementedly. Scared the hell out of my kid. I loved it. And Seth Rollins just watching all this on the screen, and then we go to commercial. After all of that, we get into the Kevin Owens Shane McMahon ladder match. We'll kick things off with Xavier Mustafa.
Had a match.
Yeah.
The match. Oh yeah, the match did happen there. I thought I could have swore that because the segment happened, we went to commercial. Then Shinsuke Nakamura came out. Or no, Shinsuke Nakamura came out like right after. Yeah. So
when they announced this match, I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, number one, this match doesn't make any sense. Why would Shinsuke wrestle Seth in a who gives a fuck match? And I was like, okay, lately, wherever Seth is, the Fiend is right behind him. So again, rinse and repeat, same shit. Lights hit, Fiend comes out, chokes the shit out of Seth, but he throws him this time.
The funny thing about that is as soon as the lights start going out, Seth is walking around the ring like he doesn't know what's going on. But then I love the fact that he showed up on the stage when the lights came back on. He hauled ass all the way up the stage, which he acted like the Fiend couldn't get him on the stage. We saw what happened to the King on the stage.
This is what I want to say about that. Like, so I like it how it was kind of cool. Like, is it gonna go for him? Is it gonna go for Shinsuke? You know what I'm saying? But then you can tell that he was going to go for Seth, just because anytime somebody gets attacked by the Fiend, the way they flash the lights or whatnot, they were only really flashing lights around Seth Rollins. It was a solid light that was on Shinsuke. That's why I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna take this L again.
They hit him with the Elimination Chamber lights.
But then I'm like, But then I'm like, where my boy at? He was on the other side of the ring. You didn't even see him, which means he probably hightailed it out of there. Like, I want no part of this. Sami Zayn, yep. He was on the side of the ring when it started, but you ain't see that brother no more.
That's hilarious.
Tell you, that dude part black. You know, when shit happens, you get
He
the
probably
fuck out
hit under the ring. Shit.
Yeah, so nobody won. Fiend interrupts. Seth hauls ass up the ramp. Takes the mandible claw. Gets thrown off the stage. Yeah. So.
Is that a foreshadow?
You know what?
Thrown off the cage.
Seth ain't taking that.
Obviously, the Fiend is not going to talk. So I like the fact that they're using the Firefly Funhouse as a way for Bray Wyatt to cut promos. I like the duality in that character. I think that's a good way that they're doing it. Unlike Finn Balor and the Demon, they had no kind of duality of that.
Right. So, like I was saying, next up we had the ladder match between Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. Kevin Owens goes over. Shane McMahon is fired from WWE. So Shane McMahon to NXT confirmed. Xavier Mustafa, what are your thoughts?
Thank you, Jesus. The Shane McMahon storyline is finally fucking over. Excuse my language. I am so over anything Shane McMahon related. Thank you. Thank you. Just thank you.
This match was shorter than most ladder matches, but I guess, 2-hour show. I thought this was going to be on Sunday. It was what it was. It's a ladder match with Shane McMahon. So a lot of spots, a lot of ouch, that looks like that hurt. And Kevin Owens wins. Shane shouldn't have won, so they made a good choice.
I will give Shane McMahon some credit. He was taking some bumps. Like when he took that power bomb on that ladder, I was like, ooh. All right, brother. Taking one for the team. I appreciate it. Thank you for your service.
Bounced.
All right, so that was that match. Yes, Shane McMahon. I don't know where he goes from here. Is he going to be gone now for good, or is he going to end up on NXT? Those are the questions.
God. He showed up on NXT.
Next up, we had the 6-man tag match between The Miz, Braun Strowman, and Heavy Machinery taking on Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Robert Roode, and Dolph Ziggler. Did I say 6-man? I'm an 8-man tag. Sorry. I didn't get to see much of this match, so I'll let the natural Chris Black take over.
Well, the only thing I really saw, I barely even saw Heavy Machinery get into the match. The only thing I really remember was Braun Strowman manhandling folks and then doing that run around the ring where he, steamrolls everybody.
I saw the face-off with him and Tyson Fury.
I don't understand why. Well, if the heels, I guess the heels had to lose, but you pin with Dolph Ziggler. He's a tag champ. They weren't. I mean, you don't want to pin AJ Styles. Who was their other fourth person in that match?
Where? On whose side?
The heels.
The heels. It was Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and Rudolph.
So yeah, I guess no one else could really take the pin but Dolph Ziggler. So, I guess I didn't like this match.
This is random.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we got you guys. 8-man tag.
The only notable thing about this match was the setup for Braun Strowman and whoever the hell he had beef with, in the front row. Who was that guy?
I said that was Tyson Fury. That's the boxer. You don't have beef with him.
Well, no. I mean, like they did a work beef.
No, they look like straight beef to me. Hold on, I'm going to put that on Twitter right now and get that started.
You throw the word beef around so loosely.
I'm like, you see the way dude was looking at you, bro? You was just chilling ringside. You gonna take that?
Yeah. Then my
only problem with that is, I just hope some idiot doesn't see that and doesn't realize that was part of the goddamn show and thinks that they're gonna get 15 minutes of fame by jumping the barricade just to have security hold them back so they can talk trash to the wrestler.
Oh, no, bro.
There's some idiots out there.
No, bro, you ain't get the memo. Fox is real. That USA shit is fake.
Well,
so it just depends on what show it happens on.
Now let's move over to the 24/7 title situation that happened after this. What you guys think of that? The Marshmallow Heads.
I didn't see that.
I was like, what?
It had happened.
That's all I can say about this segment.
It had happened earlier in the day. Everybody, if you don't know, Fox has a show called The Masked Singer. I guess they got a Marshmallow character on there. He had pinned Carmella and won the belt from her, and she regained the belt by dressing up as the Marshmallow. Her and come on, give me the name. Who does Carmella run around with?
Oh, R-Truth.
Yeah, R-Truth. Xavier
Mustafa. I thought you meant another girl. I was like,
I know. I'm like thinking, like, who are you talking
what
about?
What other girl Carmella running around with? She's not running around with nobody but R-Truth. Sorry, left you hanging on that one.
Yeah, you really did. But anyway, so she ends up regaining the 24/7 title from the Marshmallow. Anyways, moving on, we had Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan in a lumberjack match, and this kind of all went to hell at the end, with Luke Harper coming down, taking out a lot of lumberjacks, and then Daniel Bryan getting involved with Luke Harper on the outside. Roman Reigns does his big dive off the top rope onto everybody outside of the ring. Gets back in. There's a bunch of interactions. A lumberjack match, so obviously there's no DQ. Eric Rowan gets his hands on Daniel Bryan. Is going to hit him with the claw. Roman hits him with the spear. Gets the 1-2-3. Sunday at Hell in a Cell, we have Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan tagging together to take on the team of Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, formerly known as the Bludgeon Brothers. So, what you guys think of the lumberjack match?
Why can't they still be the Bludgeon Brothers? I'm confused by that.
Because they don't have hammers.
They got them hammers on their fucking wrists.
I think this match was not necessary. They could have had Eric Rowan and Luke Harper go against, I don't know, any other two guys. Have Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan on commentary after their match. There's the interaction to build to their match. Why have them wrestle each other right before the pay-per-view?
I feel like that match was more so to put over the lumberjacks, because I was like, oh, you get to see Ricochet. He ain't wrestling tonight, but this is Ricochet.
Oh my God.
I saw Devon out there. Like, he finna work.
No, you didn't.
Like, come on, bro. Yeah, Devon was out there. He was literally across from Hardcam, and he was like almost dead center.
I don't believe it.
Unless that was Apollo Crews, but I'm pretty sure that was Devon. Devon does work there. Not saying Devon look like Apollo Crews, but
as
that's
much as
the
you
only
love,
other black person I can think of.
As much as you
You've
love
heard it
black
here
wrestlers,
first, folks,
you making it sound like you all look
all
alike.
black people look the same.
What'd you say, Trill?
I was saying the same thing he just said. I just can't wait for Keith Lee to put them hands on you.
Bring it on, Keith Lee. Bring it on.
Your chops ain't got shit on him. Nah, chops ain't got shit on Walter. So that's pretty much all of SmackDown. The next match was the Kofi Kingston Brock Lesnar match, which we already discussed. Now moving on, we had over on to the Raw side. We kicked things off on Raw with Rey Mysterio in the ring, thanking his son Dominic for convincing him to stick around, and him going on the winning streak to earn a title shot against Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. That is interrupted by Brock Lesnar, who is pissed off, takes out Rey Mysterio, rips his son from the crowd, whips his ass, gets in the ring, whips on Rey Mysterio's ass a little bit more, whips on Dominic's ass a little bit more, and walks away. So, what do we think about this hot start at the Raw? Any one of you, don't all speak at once.
I was laughing my ass off the entire time. These fans be taking that shit so serious. Someone tweeted, attacking his son, Brock, you've gone too far. And I tweeted like, no, not really, And he was like, yes, he did. Like, damn, dude. I hope you have a sense of humor. Like, what the fuck? He actually got mad. I love this. I love this opening. I love Brock throwing old Marshmallow Boy around. But I didn't like that Rey Mysterio basically no-sold his part of the beatdown because he was running with the damn ambulance or the EMS workers. So, Didn't like that, but it was a good opening.
I don't know. Maybe you got to chop it up to one of those things that if your kid is really hurt, you don't switch on that supernatural mode.
Actually, Rey Mysterio didn't take a whole bunch of abuse from Brock like Dominic did either. And also, Rey Mysterio is a trained wrestler, and Dominic is not a trained wrestler.
He's
no. Hey, you know what I'm talking about in storyline. Damn it!
I just want to say, my favorite part of the abuse, the child abuse that went on, was when he gave Dominic, I want to say it was the last German. Brock literally had dude up 5 feet above his own head. I was like, Jesus. And then when he threw Rey Mysterio like he was literally a small baby out of the ring and then proceeded to throw Dominic out of the ring at the same time, like, I was like, man, this is brutality at its finest. I love it.
If someone didn't know no better and they switched that on, they'd be like, why is this guy throwing these two kids around?
So what do you think?
White privilege, man. Right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing, y'all.
So from a trainer's perspective, what do you think of Dominic's ability to take those bumps?
He bumped well. He bumped good.
He's so good.
Yeah. No complaints.
I think when you're in there with
just
Brock,
bounce because he's soft bodied.
I think when you're in there with Brock, you don't have to sell. It just happens naturally. But moving on, Charlie Caruso had an interview with the #1 heel on Raw, in my opinion, especially after the segment that we just seen. She interviewed Seth Rollins about what just happened. And he talks about how Rey Mysterio is free to get a title shot whenever he's healed and ready to go, and how it was so hard to watch what was going on down there in the ring and seeing what Brock was doing to them. And I'm like, where were you, Seth? Like, why you didn't come down and help? I'm like, you are the real heel here.
Seth was basically like, yeah, man, that was messed up what happened with Brock Lesnar, but I'm not in that program, so I'm just going to keep minding my business and take this mandible claw from time to time.
He's like, I got to go out there and sit down with Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair later on, brother. So I don't got time to go out there and be saving these guys.
Doesn't work for me, brother.
This is how they got out of having Seth Rollins having to wrestle Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had asked on our podcast episode. So, what else happened on Raw? Also,
that was about the only important thing, really.
Yeah, we had Sasha.
There was one major thing at the end.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I was trying to think of what else happened. We had Sasha Banks defeat Alexa Bliss after Sasha Banks was getting some hands from Alexa Bliss, I could say. And then she just was like, hey, Bayley, come on, get in the ring. And Alexa Bliss turns around, gets kicked in the knee, and gets pinned. That was really lame.
That match was...
That was like a video game. That was like if you ever played a wrestling game against like your little brother or something, and you just handed them the controller, and they didn't know how to play. And so
they just pressing buttons.
They just pressing buttons, and you knock them down, and they don't know how to get back up, and you just pin them.
They're just falling all over each other.
Right.
You know, speaking of Sasha Banks, this is something I meant to bring up when we were talking about SmackDown.
Here we go.
I just want to say that she botched again. I don't know if you saw her mouth was all bloody or whatnot.
That was tonight. She had the whole Joker mouth going on. Spoiler.
I'm like, damn it, Sasha. Jesus.
Spoiler alert. She had the Joker mouth going on.
Damn it, Sasha.
Her mouth has been bleeding every week, actually. It was bleeding on Monday, and it was bleeding here on SmackDown. So I don't know. Like, she got some bumps in her mouth that we don't know about.
And you know what? Can y'all please catch Charlotte when she does that moonsault?
They caught her tonight.
She didn't catch her. She landed on her feet. And luckily she did, because she would have died.
I thought they did a pretty good job of catching her tonight. But
because the problem is Charlotte's so damn tall, and them girls that she diving on are so damn short.
Like, the way she landed, it wasn't like she landed on them and they went down. It was like she landed between them, and then it all fell down. I'm just like,
okay.
She rolled backwards.
Man, if y'all don't catch her,
it looked good.
Y'all heard the queen. God damn it, I'm coming for you.
Then also on the show, we had the Rudolph taking on Heavy Machinery for the Raw Tag titles with Rudolph retaining. Any thoughts on that match?
I like Heavy Machinery,
Period.
but they can't be anything more than a comedy act. But they're a good comedy act. Like I enjoy it. They're entertaining.
It's funny.
I enjoy watching their matches.
It's funny, like their comedy act that really gets limited comedy. Like you know how WWE usually beats the comedic teams into the ground. I don't feel like we get that with Heavy Machinery. I feel like they kind of take Heavy Machinery seriously
because it's subtle.
Yeah, and I kind of like that. I think that's what I like about them is that they're not beating it into the ground. Like they're just like these guys are high energy and pretty entertaining. Kind of opposite of what you were saying about or have been saying about the Street Profits, where it's just so over the top that it feels forced. It feels a little bit more natural with Heavy Machinery. So I don't know.
Like when was it Liv Morgan was walking with her magazines,
and that was
and
Mandy
like he
Rose.
came and like took the creeper selfie with her, and then he reached and grabbed one of the magazines. Was like, yeah.
He's like, and I get a selfie. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like more of that. I'm not really a fan of their in-ring work. I don't know.
Here you go hating on the big guys again.
Bad,
Here you go hating on the big guy.
No, it's not true because I like the Viking Experience movement or whatever they're
That's
called.
just because
like
now
them.
you're just being a contrarian because nobody likes them. He likes all the guys littler than him. He's like, Kofi, yeah, let's get it. Dolph Ziggler, yeah, let's get it. It's like Keith Lee, nah, I don't like that guy. Otis and Tucker, nah, I don't like them.
No, they just. I just thought like I'm not saying they're like bad wrestlers or anything like that. I'm just kind of like, all right, I get it. You guys are supposed to be rednecks. All right, I get it. This does nothing for me.
What's his name? Dane down in NXT. If I ever hear him start saying he hates him, I'm just like, yeah, you just hate all big guys, bro. Killian Dane. If I start hearing him start talking crap about you like Killian Dane, Xavier Mustafa?
I like Killian Dane when he was part of.
Here we go.
I thought he was
I like him when he was smaller,
but
I like him when he was
smaller.
smaller.
He was part of Sanity.
He's like,
I just feel like he's just been lost after like the whole thing with him and Matt Riddle didn't really get over.
Thought he was gonna be like, I liked him when he was 50 pounds lighter.
Nope, I like that dude. See,
okay. What else do we have? We had AOP do another vignette. I like these AOP vignettes. I'm ready for them to fight.
Go away.
But like I said, I think
Toka
that,
and Razar, go away.
I think they're saving the Street Profits for AOP.
Again?
Why?
Wait, they have a program in NXT?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Okay,
they took the belts off of them.
I don't know. I like the new gimmick more so than the old gimmick. I mean, these players just stopped cutting the promo to go whoop some people's ass, and they came back and cut the promo.
Okay,
like that's cool to me.
Mark my words. 3 months after their debut of their new gimmick, they're jobbing.
Oh, probably
jobbing out 3 months, and I'll give them 3 good solid months before they start jobbing.
As long as people don't remember AOPP, they'll be fine. I think they've been going long enough with the crowd. The Rock didn't say AOPP, so they might be fine. If The Rock said AOPP, that'd be the end of their careers for the rest of their lives.
So does Dan Corbin get a Burger King deal now?
He should after what The Rock did to him. You know what? Burger King kind of savages. I might have to check their Twitter later on and see if they post anything about like thanks to The Rock for the shout out.
Right?
They're not as cold as Wendy's. Wendy's is like the undisputed champion of throwing shade on Twitter.
For real?
They give no fucks, and whoever controls it is a wrestling fan.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of wrestling references and stuff.
And then also on Raw, we had the Viking Raiders. Speaking of them, take on Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson and defeating them. I have no idea why this match even happened. It was just filler.
It's because they like to tease us with the OC. Like
they like to tease the OC.
You guys want the club? Not getting it. Yeah. All right, we gonna put AJ with them together, so y'all think y'all got the club. Oh, nope, y'all don't. Nope. We gonna put Finn Balor. Nope, we gonna put him on NXT.
Then next up, we had another guy who can't get an L on the main roster to save his life. We had Cesaro being defeated by Ricochet after Ricochet defended Rey Mysterio's honor because Cesaro said that out of everybody else felt bad for Rey Mysterio and what Brock Lesnar had done to them, and he said he agreed with what Brock did. The only thing that he was upset about in the whole situation is that he didn't beat up Dominique first. And so Ricochet says, that's not right. It's 2019. You can't say that. So they have a match. I do want to give Ricochet his props. That West Coast pop he did was damn near perfect.
Wait a minute. No. First of all, I want to say that I'm so over some way they set up these matches because it was literally like, I'm going to the ring right now. Meet me there. And Ricochet's like, okay. Like, I hate them setups. It's such a trash.
Someone please explain to me why the fuck was Cesaro wearing those pants? He was wearing some like capri like riding crops or something. What was he doing wearing them damn high waters?
He just come from playing horseshoes or croquet.
Dude, what the fuck? Like, I couldn't even focus on this match because I'm looking at them pants like, what the fuck is he wearing?
This fight just came in from UK, so he just, did NXT UK, he came over. He had on the same clothes. He's like, oh, my bad, I forgot to change. But yes, back to what you were saying. Cesaro, even if you look at some of his indie scenes, he can do some spectacular pins like that. He did this one with Mike Quackenbush. Y'all should look this up. Where Mike Quackenbush, I think, was standing on his shoulders and then dropped down, and they did literally 3, 4, 60 spins into the pin, which is amazing. That I'm telling y'all, Cesaro, man, that dude is a gift to wrestling because he could come up with some cool shit that you would never even think of doing, and is amazing at it. So I wasn't surprised that the West Coast pop looked amazing with Cesaro and Ricochet because it's all Cesaro.
We gotta get Juan Hernandez to hit you with the West Coast pop, Xavier Mustafa.
I don't know if I should take that from him. But I'm gonna say that for you though.
Yeah, I hit you with the West Coast pop.
No, I'm gonna hit you with the West Coast.
Oh hell no! Reinforce the ring. United States champion.
I can't wait till you get trained. I can't wait.
I'm
coming back out of retirement for you.
I ain't gotta be trained.
Talking about retiring me. Yeah, we'll see who retire who.
Let's get the chop line going.
Oh, yeah, he don't want these chops.
But he can't train though. All of a sudden, he off on Sunday. He's not on Sundays. Then he can only train on Sundays between 1 and 1:30. So
It's
I digress.
It's all right. Like I said, I could always just pull a Rey Mysterio and go get my big brother, or my big brothers, Anyways, next up we had the United States champion AJ Styles defeating Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander can't buy a win. I think the last match he won was when he pinned AJ Styles in Madison Square Garden. You would think that would be the start of something with him, but not at all.
That was a great match, though.
Yeah, good match, but it's just like if they're not going to do anything with him and AJ, have him do something else.
Right.
Why just keep him losing?
Yep.
Because even if he has a fluke victory over AJ, who cares?
That's the name of his next
kid.
That's the name of his next.
AJ. You don't know about AJ?
That's the name of his next son. You like, hey, this is AJ.
AJ.
I'll tell you, that's when AJ makes the wrong turn and ends up on the north side of Milwaukee.
No, actually, AJ is going to be the name of the kid of what we're going to talk about at the end of the show. That comes out of that. AJ. Like, I want to name him Aaron. Well, I want to name him Andre. All right, we'll combine it. But anyways, then we had Lacey Evans defeating Natalya, which hopefully that's the end of this feud.
Okay, well, how do y'all feel about Lacey Evans?
I actually like Lacey Evans.
You said what?
I actually like Lacey Evans. I just feel like they
don't
like
her gimmick.
I feel like they don't. Part of it is they shot her to to the moon to face Becky. That was the wrong thing to do because you hadn't built her up. All she's been doing is walking out to the ring, turning around, and going back up the ramp. And then all of a sudden she's in the title scene with Becky Lynch. So that was mistake number one. Now mistake number two is this is pretty much her second feud on the main roster, and you put her against Natalya, who nobody really gives a damn about in WWE universe. So it's hard. You can't really get any heat. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Nobody comes out as looking any better because it's two people who really don't have any stock right now. So I'm a fan of the gimmick, and I think that she has some pretty good moves in the ring, but she hasn't been given an opportunity to really build up and really develop her character without the limelight being on her. That was one of the things that they did well with Baron Corbin and building him back up now to where it felt like they were going to do something with him. Is that when he first came up, they kind of shot him to the moon pretty fast, and then he won Money in the Bank, and then they let John Cena screw him out of that. Then he had the whole thing with Kurt Angle, and he you really look at it, Baron Corbin already has a Hall of Fame resume in WWE. If you really look at his short time on the main roster, even though he hasn't won the big belts yet, but it's like they shot him to the moon so quick. That's why I said him winning this King of the Ring tournament and having those awesome matches, people were starting to turn and kind of be on Baron Corbin. So hey, he's not actually that bad.
What was Shaq Gable tonight?
Tonight?
Yeah, I don't even think he was even a lumberjack.
He was a lumberjack.
Oh, he was out there? Okay.
Yeah. But no, with Lacey Evans, I think that Lacey Evans has a really good gimmick, but I think she's too green. They brought her up too soon, but at the same time, for what her gimmick is all about, I don't know. There's not really much you can do. I mean, all she have to do is she's just got to learn how to wrestle more. I mean, because I don't know. There's something about her. She's missing something, and maybe it's because she just looks awkward in the ring. She's half a step behind, which is why she botches.
Where would you say she is?
There's something very awkward about how she moves sometimes in the ring.
Where would you say she is? Is she in front of Dana Brooke or behind Dana Brooke?
In terms of ability, she's behind Dana Brooke.
Okay.
Really?
Yep.
Oh no, Dana Brooke kind of basic.
Yeah, but you know what? Lacey Evans needs to learn the basics.
Okay. Well,
but also feel. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I also feel too that you got to take some of these green people, and you got to put them in sink or swim situations. I think to help them grow. So maybe that's what they're doing with Lacey Evans. Because I mean, from when she started to now, she's gotten a lot better. I thought.
She already sunk. Becky Lynch was her sink or swim, and she sunk.
I guess that is that.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll get to the crux of WWE Raw.
Raw.
So I gotta set this entire thing up. So bear with me. We had a Miz TV segment. The Miz comes down. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention this about Raw. Raw was the return of Pyro, and they had a new stage. Like we spoke about SmackDown having an entire new setup.
The Tony Hawk stage.
Yeah, I'm not really that big of a fan of the new stage on Raw. I think it looks a little awkward. I like how the graphics look, but I'm not that big a fan of the stage setup with the turnpike or whatever, with the half pipe, I mean. Maybe it'll grow on me, but right now I'm not really feeling it. I did love the return of Pyro though. But anyway, setting up this Miz TV segment, Miz comes out, he calls out Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. They get in the ring. Ric Flair starts talking about how he's been having to listen to that damn song for 30 years and he's sick and tired of it. And he starts cutting a promo on Hulk Hogan, talking about how you may think that you're the best, or these people may think that you're the best, but you'll never be better than me in between these ropes or whatever, and we should have one more match, brother. And Hulk Hogan basically says, hey, I would love to, but we're no spring chickens. And then Miz interrupts and says, well, speaking of one more match, you guys have been getting an opportunity in Saudi Arabia on Halloween to be the captains or coaches of your or pretty much the mascots of your own personal Survivor Series teams, pretty much. And so Hulk Hogan calls down his number one pick, the captain of his team, which is going to be Seth Rollins, the Universal Champion. And so then Ric Flair introduces his captain, Randall Keith Orton.
Phenomenal choice.
Better known as Randy Orton. Randy comes down to the ring and cuts a promo on Seth Rollins saying, hey, if you can get your head out of Hogan's ass for a second, maybe me and you should have a match tonight. So he tells them to clear the carpet out of the ring, and they're going to have a one-on-one match, the team captains for Team Hogan and Team Flair, which was done in TNA. I just want to throw that out there. But anyways, the match doesn't even get started when Baron Corbin comes down. Him and Randy Orton start to beat down on Seth Rollins, where a wild Rusev appears, comes down, and starts helping Seth Rollins beat off Baron Corbin and Randy Orton.
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah. I chose him for a reason. But so he comes down, he makes a save, yada, yada, yada. Cut later on in the show, we have a backstage interview between one of the interviewers and Rusev, and she asked him the question about, well, actually, I want to throw this out there too. Earlier in the night, there had also been a backstage interview with Maria Kanellis. They were asking her if Rusev was really the father of her baby, and she says, of course, Rusev isn't. Now we'll go back to what I was just talking about. Rusev is being interviewed. They ask him, hey, everybody wants to know where's Lana. He's like, I don't want to talk about my personal issues at home. He's like, but I went down there and I helped out Seth Rollins, so I feel like he owes me one since he's not having a match with Rey Mysterio. Maybe me and him can have a Universal title match. So that sets up the end of Raw, which was a Universal title match between Seth Rollins and Rusev. And before the match can get started, we see Randy Orton and Baron Corbin out on the stage. Apparently, there's footage from fan footage, I should say, of Baron Corbin sitting on his throne and it just crumbling underneath his feet. I guess they must have used the same throne that Cody Rhodes destroyed at the Double or Nothing show. I guess they must have rented out the same chair.
That's messed up.
And so the match is underway with Rusev and Seth Rollins, when all of a sudden Bobby Lashley's music hits and everybody's like, what the hell is going on? He comes out, he starts signaling for someone else to come out from the back while Rusev stares at the stage after throwing Seth Rollins to the outside. When Lana's music hits, and then Lana comes out, and her and Bobby Lashley get TV 14 on that stage and just start making out. Then it finally goes to TV NC 17, I guess you could say, when she puts her leg up on his shoulder while Randy Orton and Baron Corbin are cracking up in the background. And Rusev is just standing there looking like a smuck at the ropes. And then all of a sudden the lights go out. And we know what's about to happen. The Fiend attacks Seth Rollins on the outside of the ring with the mandible claw. And that is how Raw ends. Hold up. Is that how? Yeah, that is how Raw ends. No. There was one more thing at the end, wasn't it? The end was when Sasha Banks attacked Becky Lynch, or was that the week before?
That was the week before.
Okay, so yeah.
Sasha Banks ain't closing off no Raw.
She did before. But anyways, so I just did a whole bunch of talking, so I'll let you guys do some talking.
I just want to say, I know that was probably your favorite segment in the history of pro wrestling because you was just glowing when you was talking about it. True Element.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
So I think the only thing they needed at the end was Leo Rush to come out and be like, Lashley.
Or him hitting his favorite pose. I think that's what really got Lana on his side.
Well, there was a picture that was circulating today. I don't know if it was just at the Fox premiere or whatever the case may be of Bobby Lashley and Lana walking.
Yeah.
And Lana has this dress on that basically shows everything. Well, and then Bobby Lashley looked like somebody's granddaddy.
Well, if you actually check your Instagram from time to time, I sent you the video of them in the limo arriving at Fox together. And so that was from today of those two arriving on the blue carpet at Fox or at the
I figured as
SmackDown.
much. I like that they're making this where it looks where it looks like a legit storyline.
Well, they're
They
resetting. This is what the Dolph Ziggler and Lana storyline was originally supposed to be, and then they went on social media and announced that they were engaged to get married, and it blew up the whole spot.
Okay, I don't want to say I don't like this angle. I just it's weird because it seems to me now after you just said that, it seems to me Rusev's been asking the question like, what do I need to do in order for you guys to, give me a chance, a shot, something?
You gotta let somebody fuck your
I guess
wife.
they're just like, yeah, you gotta do the storyline that we wanted to do. We gotta involve, your wife being, not faithful.
Well, before it wasn't even his wife.
He just did not look happy about doing this angle at all. Did not look happy at all. I guess he's not supposed to look happy, but shit.
I think that
like
was
he had
good.
to
I
work
can
hard
tell.
to
He kind of
I
looked.
think that was good selling.
He kind of looked aroused to me. Because here's
he
what
already got one cuck.
Here's what I said about this entire segment. That's why you don't like it, because it's your life being displayed on television right in front of your eyes. From everything from the Canellises all the way down to Rusev. Now you're like, God damn it, they're just taunting me. I'm usually the Bobby Lashley in that situation, but
And like I've said the last couple weeks, I'm over the whole Fiend attacking Seth because it's clockwork every single show. Oh, here he comes.
Yeah,
choke, scream, scream, scream.
So
goodbye, folks.
So who
You know what though? I'm loving it, especially the one that happened tonight. Like it was like he was doing another burn it down, whatever, getting ready to
what's
do the
gonna
move.
happen.
And as soon as that like music hit, it was like, oh shit, here we go. It's to me, I feel like, and I know we're kind of jumping around, but I kind of feel like the Fiend in this era is what Mankind was in that era. I mean, even down to the mandible claw. There was a legit fear when Mankind was around because he's going to hit people with that move, and I love it to me, But I think what they're realizing is they do have to bring some of these touches back from the 90s. Of course, you have to from the 90s and early 2000s and put a little new age spin on it. You know what I'm saying?
So
they don't have to actually be Mankind, but give him this creepy fucking mask, have him do this Pee Wee Herman bit, and have this other side of him where he's hitting people with the mandible claw and shit. I love it.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I actually like the end of this segment. I just want to say this is kind of like my fantasy booking that I would have liked to see to make this seem to make more sense, because Rusev had been built up into being a beast, and obviously there's such thing as being paralyzed with fear or frustration. But if you see Bobby Lashley just up there making out with your wife, like it's one thing when they were just kissing and maybe he stands there and his heart is broken. As soon as that leg went up over Bobby Lashley's shoulder and she started grinding up on him, Rusev should have charged up the ramp, out of the ring and up the ramp, and then the camera could have cut to him doing that, and then it cuts back to Seth. Then the lights start to cut out, and then the Fiend attacks. So we don't see the confrontation between Bobby Lashley and Lana. All we see is Seth Rollins getting attacked. I would have rather have had that, because how I said I don't throw around the word buried very lightly. Like I'm not gonna say Baron Corbin was buried on SmackDown. To me, this felt like a burial of Rusev's character, because he's supposed to be a monster. He's supposed to be a beast. He's supposed to be Rusev Crush and everything like that. And right here, he just looked like a schmuck. Like this was almost as bad as Kevin Owens apologizing and doing errands and running chores for Shane McMahon. Like, you just chopped the legs from underneath this man.
See, I would stand behind your statement if we knew the full story. They haven't told us the full story of what's going on between him and Lana. I mean, it could have been a thing where Lana was like, hey, I don't want to be with you no more. And Rusev is dealing with that. So if we see him grinding on somebody else, there's really nothing he can do. He can be mad, but, it wasn't like this was the first time that he realized something was going on and and she's grinding on this other
Yeah,
dude.
it could be
So
that.
I think
It could be
so.
that. But
So I think if because of that, I'm going to allow it. But if they'd already explained it, then this happened, it'd be like, wait a minute.
yeah, it could be that. But also, I think if you have two similar storylines going on like this, both guys can't be complacent. And especially when Rusev was the guy that came out there and was beating up on the guy that was getting cut, supposedly getting cut before, for him to come out there and basically look like the same guy that he came out there and kicked his ass 2 weeks ago, I don't think that that's a good look for him. Like you said, we don't know the full story, extended story. It could be a thing where it's like, well, Maria said that you were the father of her baby or whatever, so I went out and hooked up with Bobby Lashley, and now Maria's like, well, I did say that he isn't the father. Obviously, like, I didn't think that you were going to take it seriously. It could be something like that, but now the follow-up tonight was on SmackDown very subtly. Like we said, they arrived together and everything like that. You would think Lana would have had time to go back and watch the video and they'd be like, oh yeah, actually he's not the father. So I'm very interested to see what the explanation is for all of this on Raw on Monday.
See, Lana could be like, now Maria, now I'm pregnant because of your lies, and now I'm about to have these bald-headed, peanut-headed babies.
Name Adre. Then ain't gonna be Adre. But yeah, you over there just shaking your head, man. Life man, I know it's gotta suck. Get good.
Life imitating art. Imitating life.
Shit. No, I'm just I don't know. That storyline is just, can we just get back to wrestling? Like, I get it, but I thought, come on, can we get away from the soap opera type shit? But
that's why I watch wrestling, damn it. To be entertained.
You know what? WWE is trying some stuff, so I'm not gonna totally shit on everything they're doing.
Look,
I want to see how stuff's going in.
I'm willing to see where this angle's going.
Look, we've had this discussion on here before that you're like, get back to wrestling. We can get good wrestling anywhere nowadays. Anywhere you go, you can damn near get good wrestling. We come to WWE, and the reason they're on this stage, they are because they're supposed to be able to tell good stories and have good wrestling together.
But you can have, like, I could have issue with you without it involving a woman. Like, they need to be more creative and not go to the tropes, the wrestling tropes. Like, oh well, it's a love triangle. Like, do something different. Do something more creative. Bobby Lashley against Rusev does not need Lana in the middle to have good matches.
It needs something.
But you know, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it needs something.
If you go back in the day with Ultimate Warrior,
Rick Rude,
Randy Orton, whoa, Macho Man, Randy Savage, whoa, wrong Randy, and Elizabeth. You know what I'm saying? Like, his whole thing with Hogan, looking at with lust in your eyes, you know, that made that storyline a lot better because, yeah, you know, you might beef with another dude, but, you know, we do, for the most part, we get over that stuff kind of fast. But when it's a woman involved or a significant other involved, that's a whole nother, like, you know, I think people can feel that because they've been hurt by significant others before.
So, in other words, he's giving you a preview of what's going to be going down in Legacy Pro in 2020. Look, he's like, God damn.
That's right, Chris Black. We've sent contracts out to your wife. Should have been the storyline.
And
Devin August is gonna take your wife.
I was gonna say you got to give her to the Ross family.
Take my wife, please.
You got to give her to the Ross family. Jason Masters is taking your wife.
Oh. Oh my God! I hope your wife never hears this.
I think that'd be the better one. Or Dan Perch is taking your wife. Give her to the ref.
I think I'm her favorite. Don't let her hear this.
And then he screws you in every match while he's screwing her. Anyway, just going off the rails. I want to hurry up and get this all over and done with. So we finished with Raw pretty much. That was the end of Raw. We finished with SmackDown. Now we can get into our Hell in a Cell predictions. I'll just name off the 3 matches that have been announced so far. The 3 matches that have been announced so far: the Universal Champion Seth Rollins defending the belt against The Fiend Bray Wyatt inside Hell in a Cell. We got the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch taking on Sasha Banks inside Hell in a Cell. And then we have Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan taking on Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. And those are the only matches that have actually been announced that are official as of right now for Hell in a Cell. So we will kick things off with Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan taking on Luke Harper. Who do you have?
For a 3-on-1 match?
I said Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan taking on Eric Rowan and Luke Harper.
You said all three of them taking on Luke Harper. But I'm going with Eric Rowan and Luke Harper on that one. I think they got to put the heels over.
Yeah, the smart move would be Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. WWE is not known to make smart moves, though. But in the interest of them trying to be different, I'm going with the heels, Rowan and Harper.
I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Even though Roman Reigns got the victory tonight, Eric Rowan already beat Roman Reigns in a singles match. And WWE usually plays these things out ass backwards, in my opinion. I feel like the heel should win, but that's not going to happen.
Is there any potential for any type of shenanigans in this match? Now, I think we're far from the whole Daniel Bryan is the conspirator. I don't think so. I think that's not a possibility anymore. But do you think there'll be other shenanigans?
I don't think so, because there's going to be shenanigans in the main event.
Oh, God. We'll have to get to that.
So that's why I say, nah, everything will be straightforward until then.
Yeah. So next up, we got Sasha Banks taking on Sasha Banks taking on Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch being the champion, the Raw champion. So who do we see going over to fight inside Hell in a Cell? I say Becky retains.
Becky Lynch all day. I just hope she survives.
What is that supposed to mean?
I think they're giving it to Sasha because I can't imagine Becky Lynch beating her and then they have another match where Sasha gets it. I think she gets it now.
I don't see the career Reaper taking the soul that evening.
I want Xavier Mustafa to explain what the hell he means if she survives.
So I said the Soul Reaper ain't going over in this match. She's not taking another career.
The blue meanie.
Damn.
I hope she does. Anyways, so next up we got the Universal Champion Seth Rollins defending against The Fiend. Inside Hell in a Cell. This could only go one way.
No contest.
The Fiend wins.
Nope, I'm going to go with no contest.
How can you have a no contest inside Hell in a Cell?
They've done it before.
See, okay. This is where I'm concerned. The Fiend has gotten the best of Seth Rollins every single week on camera. Now, off camera, I've heard that they've been having some dark matches where Seth has given the Fiend 4 goddamn curb stomps. And like the lights go out and he just scurries away or some shit. So what are they going to do here? Are they going to have the Fiend obliterate Seth Rollins? Or are they going to go back and forth and Seth Rollins is actually going to try to curb stomp this guy multiple times before some shenanigans happens? I still stand by, if they were going to put him in this match, they need to put him over. Otherwise, if they don't plan on putting the Fiend over, he should not be in this match.
Yeah.
Because they booked him, because they booked themselves in the corner. That's why I think shenanigans will happen. I don't want to see the Fiend with the title because I don't think the Fiend being a champion makes sense. At least now, anyway. But
yeah,
no.
Because who's gonna step up and be like, I'm challenging the Fiend.
Right.
I'm calling the
unless
Fiend
you're gonna
out.
do something. Unless you're gonna do something maybe with the Undertaker or something later, he holds it to them. But then you want to put Undertaker over for a belt like now? Like no.
Well, if anybody was listening, if anybody listened to our preview or not preview review of NXT and AEW, I mentioned the duality thing, and I know Chris Black mentioned it here, like how he likes the duality between Bray Wyatt being in the Funhouse and speaking on the Fiend's behalf. We know that Finn Balor's been moved down to NXT, but has the Demon moved down to NXT, or will the Demon get involved inside this Hell in a Cell match? And they do another nonsensical non-finish, or Seth Rollins defeats the Fiend.
I don't think the Demon gets involved.
See, the history has told us that the Demon doesn't show up when it's an opportune time. So, yeah, it's like, hey, I'm fighting Brock Lesnar. Probably don't need the Demon. What? But I mean, I know I've harped on that subject a lot, so I'm gonna leave it alone.
Like, I'm good. I don't need the Demon today.
Right. So those are the 3 matches that are announced for Hell in a Cell, which is on Sunday. And yeah, so either we're gonna have hour-long matches, or there's gonna be some matches announced Saturday night or made over Twitter before the show. Somehow, some way, they gotta at least get 3 more matches for this card. Otherwise, it's gonna be like a 2-hour pay-per-view. They kind of blew their load between Raw and SmackDown and NXT this week. So
I think it's one of those things too, where just like last year, I think they probably didn't think about this pay-per-view too much, and they more have their eyes on Crown Jewel or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and also it's a situation where they're having the draft next week, so they have to blow off certain feuds. So they should have been thinking about this, but I think the draft came out of nowhere. I don't know. It just seems like there was no planning. I know they mentioned like next week they have the champion versus champion match. I believe it was. They announced it. I think it was Seth Rollins is supposed to defend against. No, never mind. I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Never mind. No, I'm not. AJ Styles is taking on Shinsuke, I think they said, or something next week. I'm not sure.
I will say I'm not a fan of them announcing a bunch of stuff in advance. Like, I really feel
you got to tune into the show to get the card.
Yeah, maybe a match or two, because I kind of feel like we kind of do that with Legacy Pro. Like, most of the time we know what the card is going to be well in advance, but we don't start posting what it is because, I mean, some of it should be a surprise.
Right.
And so that has been your Raw and SmackDown review, as well as your Hell in a Cell predictions for Hell in a Cell 2019. You've been listening to Saturday Night Slamcasters. Go ahead and give them your church announcements real quick, guys, and run down your social medias.
Legacy Pro returns once again on October 11th at the Root River Center. Tickets available at legacyprowi.com and also facebook.com/legacyprowi. So I hope to see you guys there. You can tweet me at Xavier Mustafa on Facebook or Twitter. Well, you can't tweet me on Facebook, but you know what I mean.
All right. You can catch me next week, Friday, on the 11th at RCCW Tricks and Treats up here in La Crosse, Wisconsin at American Legion Post 52. Bell time at 7:30. You can catch me on social media at The Natural Chris Black on Facebook and Instagram, and Twitter at _natural_CB.
All right. And you guys have been tuned in to Saturday Night Slamcasters. This has been episode 27. We'll be back at you guys next week, Saturday, for episode 28, where we're going to review Hell in a Cell, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AEW. God damn. What a time to be alive. Thank you guys for listening to us. Be sure to share our content, subscribe, hit the bell notification, do all those good things. Check the links down in the description as well for Legacy Pro tickets, events, calendars, all that good stuff. We'll holler at you guys. We out of here. Peace. Come get slammed.